Thank you. Welcome back to Joy of the Hang. Great to have you all with us today. Today's episode is a deeply meaningful one. My guest, Chasity Vannatter, is a survivor of childhood sex trafficking who endured years of abuse at the hands of someone who was supposed to protect her. Today, she's using her voice and her experience to help protect and support other children through her work with Manatee Children's Services. Before we begin, I want to say this. Parts of this conversation may be difficult to hear. Please take care of yourself as you listen. Chasity, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your courage and for trusting this space with your story. Tell us your story. What feels most important for you to share with our listeners about your story?
That not everything is as it seems, and we should always try to be vigilant and look out for the kids that are around us, especially as adults and caretakers of children. There were a lot of people in my life, teachers, nurses, etc., that did see signs of abuse but never said anything about it, because in the South, it's a very mind your business kind of state, and I feel like we've all kind of done that as far as our regards to other parents go and the way that they handle things and stuff like that. So I think that my message overall, or what I've gained from this, would be to mind your business, but help kids along the way.
So you said you're from the South. I know you told me before we started recording that you're from Louisiana.
Yes.
So what do you wish the adults around you had been able to see? And what do you wish, they always say, see something, say something. What do you wish that they had said? And how do you wish they had handled it differently?
Well, mine was very covert. My abuser was my mother. She loved me to pieces. We had a fantastic relationship growing up because I didn't understand that she was a huge addict. She was very much into drugs. That was her vice, I think. So, myself for a second there.
Yeah, what you wish the adults would say.
Okay.
It was hard for them to see.
It was hard for them to see because it was so
your
covert.
mom. Right.
Yes, because it was my mom. So she had a lot of control over me, over the situation, over who saw me. So I don't blame any of the close adults that were in my life because they had no idea.
Right.
I had no idea at the time. So the only thing that I wish that could have been done differently is maybe those that were around me that were vigilant and saw that I was malnourished, underweight, I was struggling and stuff like that, could have said something or stepped in to try to help.
Okay. Now, yeah, I am just blown away that it was your mom. So if somebody had noticed something, do you even think you were aware enough to be able to say, yes, I'm going through this at home?
No, not to that point, but to a point we all grow up thinking that our lives are normal. Our lives are what everyone experiences, is what we think when we're young. We think everyone's the same. So the things that were in my life that are abnormal looking back, I didn't find them abnormal at the time, but if asked about them, I would have been able to speak about them.
Yeah, and I'm very interested. You said you and your mom you love your mom, obviously. And
I did.
Close,
yes.
Or you did. So it's like you have this, you adore, of course, your mother, but you don't really understand the abuse that's happening.
Yes.
So there's that really contradiction, right?
Yeah, I fell into the fawn category where I was very obedient, very loving, very persistent to make my caretakers happy.
Yeah.
I was very much in that realm.
But you saw that she was doing drugs. You were aware of that?
Not myself.
No,
No.
you weren't. Okay.
No, I was actually in DARE. I was in DARE programs, and I actually won an award in my state and got to read my paragraph in front of the governor. I was so excited about that. So whenever everything went down and we left,
Wow.
it was very shocking when I found out that she was on drugs. When my aunt told me, I laughed.
Like,
I thought it was funny. I was like, that's not
Yeah.
fun. That's funny. I just read her my paragraph. Like, that's not.
Wow. So she was good at hiding it.
Very.
Yeah. Are you an only child?
No. I have an older sibling that we share the same mother. And then I have 7 other siblings.
Okay. That are not your mom's.
Not my mom's, no,
Okay,
but
so they're
spread
half.
out.
They're
Yeah.
half. Okay. So is your older sibling a girl too?
Yes.
You have a
Yes.
sister.
Yes.
Okay. Did she have the same sort of?
She had
abuse?
similar experiences as me, but hers weren't the same. When we were both very young, my biological parents were together, they were married, and then shortly after I was born, they separated. And when they separated and divorced, my dad took my sister, because she was 4 years older than me, and moved to Texas, got remarried, had more kids, and I was with my mom in Louisiana.
Understood. Yeah, now it makes sense. So can you share in a way that feels safe for you a little bit about your experience growing up? When did this all start for you?
I think the first experience was with a family member when I was about 4 years old. It was just playing. We make it play, we make it fun, and that's how it gets tricked into uncomfortable situations. And then my memories are so scattered that it's really hard to recall. I just have lots of like flashbacks more than anything is what I get from the terrors. Growing up, it was really fun. I loved where I was. I was in poverty, but I had no idea that I was in poverty. I just thought that I was living life. I was raised mostly by my grandparents. They took care of me. They made sure that I ate. They made sure that I was alive for the most part. They were very guiding lights in my life because they also took me to church every Sunday. And they are the only reason that I have persisted the way that I have.
But you even said that you were malnourished. So your mom was unable to be there for you, I guess.
Yeah, we had food stamps, but she sold them. She would trade them
for drugs.
Yes. My stepdad, I had a stepdad. He worked very hard to provide the life that we had, but he worked very hard and he worked away from the house. So he was very much blind to everything that was going on as well.
So you said the abuse started when you were around 4, and that was a family member. How did that continue to go? I think you told me it was over a 7-year period. So was there a time when she was actually selling you for?
Yes. So it just started because like I was her daughter. So she would take me everywhere with her because leaving me at home wasn't always the best option. And it was an impoverished area. So she would take me with her, and she took me with her when she would go to trap houses as well, which is the houses where all the adults would get together and hang out in the back. And there would be a room in the front or somewhere with a TV where the kids would all just sit on the floor and watch TV while the adults did whatever they did. And I just continued to grow and develop. And as I grew and developed, I got cuter and more developed, and my lips were very full for a 6, 7-year-old. And my mom was notorious for getting in trouble with my dad at the time, although I did not know any of this until after. Stepdad, she was notorious for getting in trouble because he knew about the drug problems. He was part of them when they first got together, but she would consistently come back with STDs because she was selling herself to make whatever trade she could make. So that led into, well, she's starting to get really cute and develop, and she's young, and we can just use her instead.
Okay. And so you've got me like speechless because my heart's breaking for you. But you said you don't have complete recollection of that. You blocked it out. So now
it's just pieces. It's just pieces. It's just memories. It's just moments. It's faces. It's not fun.
I can't even imagine. What do you wish people better understood about what situations like yours can look like?
Is that it's right in front of you. This would happen, and then I'd be at church Wednesday night with my grandparents.
Yeah. So you never felt like you could say something to your grandparents?
I had no idea at the time. It was just Mom and I would go hang out, and it would just be a blur. And then I'd be at church.
Interesting. So you blocked it out right from the beginning.
It was a lot of mental block, and then it was also a lot of induced blockage. I was being drugged.
Okay.
I was a lot more complicit. And then that also showed when I was a child, because whenever we'd go to the doctor for doctor's appointments, I would beg them to give me a shot. I never wanted them to give me medicine.
Interesting.
Because I would be held down a lot against my will and given things.
Okay.
And my body knew it, even though I couldn't remember. So I would immediately there are a lot of habits that I developed over the years from the trauma and from the abuse that I realized as an adult are not normal.
So this went on for you till you were about 13.
Till I was about 12 and a half.
12 and a half. So this was before you started your period, probably. You probably didn't have a doctor that would have noticed that there was something wrong either.
No.
At that point. Because you really don't start going as a female until you're starting.
And I was in an impoverished area, so I only went every few years when it was time for shots. If we got colds or whatever, we fixed it ourselves.
Well, and I love your bravery in telling this story, because I think when a lot of people, when they think sex trafficking, they think children are being kidnapped, thrown in a van.
Yeah, and taken somewhere.
It's
not always like that.
And sometimes it's happening, like you said, right under your nose at your neighbor's house.
And I would smile and play with my mom to pieces because I had no connection of the two.
And like you said, for you, it was this normal life in your mind. This is what it's like to grow up and be a child, and you're with someone you feel safe with, your mother. And so you probably, I understand you were being drugged, but there may have even been a part of you that was like, oh, I'm getting attention on making my mom happy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
I
because
mean, was
that fawn response
Right.
probably was part of it too. So there's probably part of that plays into
It's
it on a deeper level.
very complex. Were there moments, obviously, where you felt unseen or unheard? And what did that feel like as a child?
Yes, those moments actually didn't hit me until later. So my stepdad and I, he eventually had enough with her, divorced her. They separated, they divorced, and he got me. He offered her $1,000 and she signed her rights over.
Oh, no. How old were you then?
12.
You were 12 and she signed her rights
Yeah.
over for $1,000.
Yes. So he took me and we moved away from my hometown, and immediately the night terror stopped. Wetting the bed calmed down. That was much of an issue, but I was 12, 13 years old. So right when I started 8th grade, I started having panic attacks in class. I had to leave school to go to the hospital. Panic attacks. They started me on anxiety medication in 8th grade, because of the stuff that I had no idea my body was trying to heal from.
Okay. So what was triggering the panic attacks in the 8th grade, do you think?
We still
Don't know.
never figured it out. I will still randomly just have a random panic attack where my heart will just start racing. My breathing will go abnormal, and then my body tightens and it feels like breathing is like stabbing. It's intense.
So you left your mother's house, went to your stepfather's house. He raised you?
Yes.
What happened with your mom? Did she stay in contact?
Stayed in my hometown, and she had rights for visitation, but I've seen her maybe 5 times since then.
And where was your older sister during all
Texas.
of this? So she had already moved away with your dad.
With my real dad,
With
yeah.
your real biological dad.
Yeah.
So she went with your biological dad. Do you have a relationship with her?
Yes.
Today? Okay, good.
Yes. All of my siblings are so close to my heart.
Is she aware?
Yes. She actually had more memories than I did.
And did she have the same experiences as you?
No.
Never.
She was never taken the way that I was or anything like that. Although I know that she was put in some really sticky situations as well with some family members and uncles that were not appropriate to be around. So she had her own traumas before I came along, sadly.
Have you ever confronted any of these so-called uncles?
I've tried. Well, no, actually, because
They probably would never admit to it.
luckily one of them is in jail already.
Or?
I think it was actually a murder.
Oh, murder charge.
My biological aunt just got out of prison for a murder charge. My mom, biological, she was in and out of prison after I left. So it's a very common thing in the area.
Yeah, Louisiana's tough for people that don't know. And
It's a really rough area.
Northern Louisiana.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The rough areas. Because New Orleans is really it's amazing. I love New Orleans. New Orleans will always have my heart. But those upper cities in Louisiana are the ones that have the highest crime rates that are really, really not fun.
Well, and like you said, it's such an impoverished area that, yeah, it would make sense that there's higher crime rates. So there are so many misconceptions about trafficking. We talked about one. What do you think people often get wrong?
I think one thing that people get wrong is something they get wrong afterwards, is that you are different than other people. Yes, you are different from other people because you have experienced a level of trauma that other people may not have, but it does not make you lesser. I think that's one of the things that we should try to shift, because a lot of people don't tell their stories because of how the view of them shifts after their story's told. After my story started to come out and a previous partner found out about it, it completely ruined things. I was not the same person to them anymore. I was ruined goods. So I think one thing that we should try to change is that misconception that people are ruined after things like this happen to them, because that's just the beginning of their story.
Well said. And obviously that wasn't the right man for you. So yeah, good for you for moving on. What are some signs or realities that might surprise people, especially when it comes to children? What are signs at school people should? You were happy, so it's hard.
It's very hard. The only evidence there ever would have been for me would have been physical. Let's see.
Because you were malnourished, but even that, they probably just thought you were skinny.
I weighed 40 pounds in 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
I was small. I have a 9-year-old right now. He's in 3rd grade and he weighs like 75, 85 pounds. He's a, healthy kid. So it's just kind of crazy as a mom now to see the difference in things. So I think something that might surprise people about this type of abuse in children is that the children can still appear happy because we're trained not to be anything less. Because if I'm not smiling and I'm not peppy and I'm not happy, then people will ask me what's going on, and that opens a door.
Right. And you don't want that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was there a moment or a series of moments where things began to shift for you?
I think so, but that moment didn't happen until a few years ago, actually, when I was like probably when I was 30. I started to realize that there were things that I could do to change the way that I felt about everything that happened.
Yeah, because I imagine, like, how did you feel about yourself once you
I
started?
definitely, especially with like that partner, I especially started to feel ruined. I felt lesser than. I was at a point in my life where I had never understood when people said that they loved themselves. I thought it was just a bunch of hoorah, like, what are you talking about? Shut up, whatever, you know? So it giving myself that journey of like self love happened once that partner highlighted that he thought I was ruined. Because then I said, I am ruined. I went through a deep level of not a fun place. But then I realized that in that place, I was just myself by myself. And that is okay. And that's where I started growing from there.
I want to talk a little more about that relationship because you've got me really curious. So, did he actually say the words "you're ruined" and therefore I don't want to be with you, or how did that come up?
This ruins you.
So how long had you been with him?
8 years.
And he didn't know your story?
I didn't know it either.
You didn't know your story. He
He
didn't know
was
it.
with me when it
You didn't.
started to
So how did it start to reveal itself, first of all,
night
for you?
terrors.
You were having night terrors.
Yes.
And the
So
night terrors would be what? You would be
I would
shaking
be
and
back.
have
No, so
okay.
the night terrors are a whole thing in their own. Where so like for example, a good night terror, which is kind of crazy, but it goes hand in hand with the bad. So one night I had a dream that I love diving in the ocean. I was at a beautiful beach diving under the waves. Hold my breath, go under, look for shells, come back up. I am shaken awake in the middle of the night by my husband at the time. Chastity, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I was having a fantastic dream. What is wrong with you? He goes, you weren't breathing. Because although in the
Oh,
dream,
you're holding your breath
I was holding
underwater.
my breath and I'm shaking in the bed because I'm there. It's real. Every bit of it to me is real. That happens the same for the bad. I am back in that house or in those houses. Someone is holding me down. I can't escape. And the worst feeling in the world, I don't know, well, hopefully no one feels this, but the worst feeling in the world is when you know that you lose. Because once you've been injected or once something enters your system, there's no more fighting it. It doesn't matter how much you physically fight, your body's gone now.
So you remember being injected as well as being forced to take medicine orally?
I just remember fighting. I remember the oral stuff. I just remember pain, pinches. I don't remember seeing it. I just remember the pinch, the sting, and then the numbness.
Wow.
And then you can't control your body anymore.
So this would start showing up in your dreams.
And I was really curious about my anxiety from like middle school and stuff like that. And like, why do I have night terrors and stuff like that? So I was actually going to therapy, trying to figure it out. And the therapist was like, let's give you a sedative for sleep. And the problem with the human brain is that when you put it in a similar state, it remembers things better. So when the doctor gave me a sedative, my body went back into that state that it had been in when I was a child, and it started to remember. And that's what happened.
And was your husband at the time there in the room with you? And so he couldn't handle it. And that's when he said, "You're ruined," or something along those lines.
This ruins you.
This ruins you. How did that feel? That had to hurt.
Horrible. Horrible. I was from Louisiana. We had just moved down to Florida, 1,000 miles from my family, my friends, and everything. Started our dream house build, and then this happened. I was completely alone. All I had was my son down here and him and his family.
Wow. And so your son is with him, I'm assuming. And so what happened after that? So now you're feeling like, oh my gosh, all of these
Well,
emotions from my.
this was only 3 years ago.
So it's still fresh.
I'm still here because I have to be here. All of my friends, family, and everything are 1,000 miles away, living happy, beautiful, intertwined lives, which I love getting to see and I love getting to experience when I go back home. But I would prefer to have him there. I would love to have Liam around my family and grow up and do all the good family that saved me, not the other side.
I'm just, honestly, I'm just, you should write a book about
I'm
this.
trying to figure out how to how to really format it, because the way that it unfolded for me is so different from most people's experience with this kind of thing.
Well, and not only that, I really did hear you when you said there is a vulnerability around telling your story because people may react like your ex-husband did and feel like you're ruined, which is horrible because I hope you know you're not.
Yeah.
100% you are not. It didn't, this happened to you, but you had no control over it, right? So, I think about I can't even imagine, was he in therapy with you? Like, did he not? Okay, so he didn't go through that part.
No, he tried to a little towards the end, but that wasn't our journey.
So then you would have this experience in therapy and come home and share it with him? And then,
Somewhat, yes.
and that's when,
I was just trying to process the therapy of it. I didn't really get to dive into deeply until after we separated, because it was something that he also ostracized. His family didn't believe in therapy.
yeah. A lot of
You
it
go
don't.
work out. You handle your stuff. You shove it down and you work.
Yeah.
Which we can
You
all
power
do.
through it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that started opening wounds for him that he wasn't comfortable with too. So
Okay.
my journey went a different way.
Okay. Understood. Okay. So tell me, was there ever a time when I felt safer?
I felt safe
Yeah.
up until a certain point. And then once I started to feel all the things again, it took me finding my safety again.
Yeah. So when so much of your early life was shaped by trauma, how did you begin to reconnect with who you are? Are you still, I'm sure you're still working on that. Are you still?
I'm still working on that. That's still a work in progress. But I think part of it is just knowing who, grounding yourself and figuring out exactly what you want in life. If you could take every stressor that you have in life and imagine that it's been completely taken care of. You have your house, your car, you're paid, your bank account is good. You have all this free time. What do you do in that free time? That's what you need to figure out and move towards. And that's what I sat back, meditated on, thought over, and how I move now.
Well, and I want to share something with you that I have never shared on this podcast and actually haven't shared with very many people. So when I was in college, I was actually raped in college. And very different story, but I'm bringing it up because I think it lends to the feeling of shame, the feeling of having to hide something that happened to you, that it was a situation where, two guys that I had known from school, we ran into each other. I was in Boston. We ran into each other on the bus and I was in a new apartment and I said, why don't you guys stop by? It was middle of the day. And I'm like, stop by and you can see my place, whatever. And before I knew it, one of them took advantage of me and in front of the other. And then when he was done, he said, do you want to have a turn? And same thing. These were big football player guys, hadn't been drinking, no drugs involved, nothing. But talk about feeling powerless and feeling like you can't do anything. So they did their thing and they left. And I sat there in such shock.
You have no idea what to do.
Right. I just couldn't report it to anybody. I hid it for years. Very few people in my life know about it because I did. I felt so ashamed and I thought I invited that evil into my home.
That is not your fault.
But you think.
But you do blame yourself.
Right.
You go, why did I do that?
Right.
Why did I allow that?
Right. And I'm like, did I give him the wrong impression? Which I don't think I did.
That shell of shame, that was my fault. This is, this happened because I allowed it to somehow.
Right. And I really had to compartmentalize it and reframe my thoughts and say, it was just sex. That's all it was. Just get over it. It was, it's done. It's so I
minimize it.
I had to minimize it. I had to make myself think that I wasn't violated.
That it was okay.
It was yeah, exactly.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. No big deal. But I wanted to bring it up because I felt like it was important to share. One, because I relate to a little bit to your journey and can't possibly relate to a level of trauma you went through. But I definitely relate to the feeling of powerlessness and the feeling of complete shame and just really not being able to tell my story and not trusting that I can tell anybody without being judged. Right?
And you have to come to a point where you don't care anymore.
And I think the older that I've gotten, you also realize, and now I have a daughter that's 24 and I worry about her all the time. But you think that, the truth of the matter is so many women have gone through this.
But we're too ashamed to share.
We're too ashamed to share and we don't report it for so many different reasons because maybe you were out drinking that night and it went too far.
I got motivated to start my journey more than anything recently actually, because on Facebook, all this stuff has been going around lately about pedophilia, etc. And a friend on Facebook commented on something and said, if it happened more than 20 years ago, why does it matter? Why would she wait so long to say something? And it really just put into my brain like, that doesn't make it invalid. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen and it didn't mean what it meant to that person.
You know why it matters still? It's because it's a form of PTSD. And
I have complex PTSD.
yeah, people that don't understand this kind of trauma, it becomes part of your DNA,
Part of your being.
part of your being. And it takes a while to process it. My thing happened, let's see, I got to do the math in my head, probably 50 years ago. And I still can feel it, remember it, smell it, all of it.
I can hear it. I can smell all the smells, everything.
Yeah.
Like it's happening
Like
still.
it's still happening.
And it almost gives me chills just to think about it. But yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't leave you. You grow from it, but it doesn't leave you. When you finally became sexually active, was it difficult for you to allow people to have intimacy?
It was incredibly painful for the first few years.
Okay.
The very first few years of being sexually active. And I waited until I was 17. I was a very good girl. Straight A's and B's in high school. Honor classes, never had to be told to do my homework. I never went out. I didn't have friends. Like I was just at the library. I was a very, very good, very cool kid. Or, from my perspective. Where did we go again? My brain.
Yeah, it's okay. We're talking about being sexually active.
So
painful.
So 17 was like, it's supposed to be, really good at you're 17, go have fun. And it was just nothing but pain for me for years. And I never figured out why, but it's related to trauma. It's related to the sexual trauma that I experienced.
Yeah. So just pain during intercourse or pain for you emotionally?
No, intercourse, like physical pain. Like it felt like being knifed just about.
Wow.
For the first 3 years, I think it took for that to finally go away.
Wow. And so what do you think caused it to go away? What was the shift?
I think I started to
relax more
and actually want it more, because when you're 17 and you're with a boyfriend, it's kind of like, yeah, I want to, but it's more like because I want to, not because I really want to.
Right.
Just because we can do it,
Yeah.
So I think it took me actually getting to a place where I was actually ready for it.
Yeah.
Before it kind of let my body relax in itself.
Yeah, I get that because I had a hard time trusting for a long time. And I was in college and I just did not want anything to do with guys. After that, I'm like, I need a break.
Do not come near me.
Don't
do not
come
look
near
at me. I will
me.
bite your head off.
Exactly. Like, keep your whole thing over there.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's crazy how it affects you later.
So how is it affecting you emotionally?
Emotionally, I was volatile in high school. Well, not volatile, but I was a little toxic. Not in a mean way, but with my partner. I was very afraid of abandonment because of what had happened with my mother. And then also, when I was 15 years old, I met this boy in high school, and we had class together. We had home ec together all year, so we were baking cookies and doing cute stuff.
Yeah.
And the day that school ended, he walked me to the bus, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and said goodbye. And then the next day, he died.
God.
He was killed in a car wreck.
My gosh. Chastity.
So I had a really big problem around abandonment, around people leaving with no choice. That is still my biggest insecurity, is abandonment now. But it's something that I have worked very, very hard on.
Yeah, because I know you have those messages like, the people that I loved leave me.
Yes, it's why, what about me is not good enough to keep?
Yeah, they disappear.
That has always been the biggest one for me.
They disappear. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It takes time to get through.
It sure does. It sure does. And you've been through a lot. Oh my gosh. So tell me what strength means to you now. You've obviously done a lot of healing over the years.
Strength means asking yourself why, even just stupid stuff that you don't even think is important. My 30th birthday was coming around, and I've always avoided my birthdays. Hate birthdays, not a fan. Please, God, do not throw me a party, And my son asked me why. And I was like, I just don't like birthdays. And instead of saying, I just don't, I dug down and I actually realized that I haven't had a birthday party. I've never actually experienced that much attention on me. So the idea of a birthday party makes me really uncomfortable because I've never experienced that. I'm 32 this year.
Wow. When's your birthday?
In May.
Oh, we're going to have a birthday party for Chasity.
But yeah, so it's like, I think that the biggest thing that you can do is ask yourself why. Even the questions that feel silly, there's something there. There's a reason why you move the way you move, that you do, and you think the way that you think. And instead of just saying, that's how I am, we should ask ourselves why more often. That makes me feel strong.
Now, you're a mom now. How do you parent differently?
Very differently. I'm
Yeah.
from Louisiana, so it was we got backhanded. Our mom was not afraid to draw blood. She was very stern, very hard. If you missed a yes ma'am, you got hit. So I was very yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir.
You were raised by the rod.
I'm very strict with my son in some ways, but I'm also very lenient, and I'm not a physical type of person like that.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of emotional connecting more than anything.
So you now work for Manatee Children's Services.
Yes.
What drew you to that work?
I've been in photography for a while, events and stuff, and I've mingled with a lot of people over the past few years in the area. And photography is beautiful to me because it has its own reasons, but it never felt purposeful. It always felt like a good job. It was fun. It's a good way to pay the bills. It's a great way to connect to people and help them remember the best day of their lives. That is what it was, but it didn't feel enough for me. So recently I had just started revamping all of my stuff and looking for something. And my boss now posted in a group in Facebook that Manatee Children's Services was looking for a community engagement associate. And I was like, well, I'm already in a lot of events, and I had no idea what they did. So I just went ahead and applied. And when I got there, I found out that they are exactly what I need, exactly what I needed at the time.
I love that.
They are amazing.
How long have you been working for that?
3 weeks
Just
now.
3 weeks?
It's just been 3 weeks. I just got the job. I've been very slow, not slowly, but I've been acclimating to it, and it's been amazing.
So what's your role? What do you do? What's a community service worker?
So what I do is I represent them at events. I go to networking. I try to talk to people about our upcoming events, our donations, our services, what we do, why we do what we do. And what it is it's a trauma treatment. It's for children. It's for trauma prevention, trauma treatment, and trauma healing, kind of. So we have houses. We have safe houses for children. Manatee Children's Services was actually the first one in Manatee County in 1977 when they opened. They were the first trauma safe house for kids in the area. So they work with children that have been through trauma, abuse, neglect, trafficking, all of it. Yeah. We have safe houses for boys, girls.
Oh, I love that.
We have programs.
I'm sorry that we need that.
I hate that we need it, but it's so needed that it's such a beautiful thing that they do.
Well, I'm glad that they're here. So what does a safe relationship look like for you now?
Honesty. Yeah. I think the most safe relationships we have in our lives are relationships that we build based on honesty.
Have you found someone that's honest? Do you have someone in your life?
No, I don't have anyone in my life. I'm a single Pringle, but I'm focused on work. Work and your son. Work is my partner besides my little boy.
What's your boy's name?
Liam.
Oh my gosh. 9 is such a great age. Does he play any sports or do anything?
Oh my God, he does everything. We just got back from a movie last night. We went and watched the Hoppers movie. We play a lot of games together. He's been to the beach with me, I think 3 times this week.
Oh, good.
He's sick of me.
Oh, is he on vacation? No school?
He's on spring break this week, actually.
Okay, all right. For someone listening who may be in a situation where they feel unsafe or unseen, what would you want them to hear from you?
That it's okay. And I know that that's a broad thing to say, but I want to say that it's okay to be in a situation that's not okay. It doesn't mean you're going to be there forever, and you can make your way out. I know that some situations are different than others, and making your way out sometimes is not safe, but you have ways to reach out. There are people that will listen, and if you have the ability, just use your voice, because I never used my voice, and I know a lot of people will not ask for help.
Why do you feel like it's important to tell your story now?
Because it happened, because it shaped everything that I do, everything that I am, and our experiences need to be shared so that we can connect, because those connections are the biggest thing in the world to us. Because if I don't tell my story, then I'm just gonna go down with it.
I like that. And one of the things we talk a lot about is connection. So what role has safe, healthy connection played in your healing?
It's given me spaces like this where I can actually come and speak and tell my story and not have someone tell me that I'm ruined for it. It has given me the confidence to even speak in the rooms where people do believe that I'm ruined for it, because I have people that don't believe that I'm ruined. So those healthy relationships have helped give me a foundation to stand on.
Do you have people that don't believe your story? Do you have people that are wondering if you made it up?
I feel like maybe, because where I'm at right now, survivors also have like a negative connotation given to them typically. And when you see me in public, I'm a very bubbly, very happy, very friendly person, and I always am, but it's not something that you would ever expect from me.
Right. No, nobody would ever know. Right?
Exactly. Which is why it's important to tell the story, because no one would ever know.
Right. I think it's very important. And like I said, I think you're brave for telling it. So for adults, parents, teachers, community members, what can we do better to protect and support our children?
Prevention.
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 Okay. So talk to me about prevention.
Prevention means we tell our kids what's okay, what's not okay. Prevention means we talk to our adults on parenting, even though it's a mind your business kind of thing. We don't need it to be that way. We need to be able to hold each other accountable for being better parents and better adults in general.
So in your situation, I'm trying to think of the word prevention in your situation. So would you have thought the teachers should talk about
Yes.
that in schools?
Yes.
And
if there had ever been a moment where an adult told me, this is not okay, I was the kind of kid that would have been like, this is happening, I would have 100%, because I followed all the rules. So if they told me that, hey, you can tell people about this, I would have told people.
Really? You don't think you would have paused and been like, but it's my mom, so...
No, because I was like, it's my mom. She does these things. Of course it's okay.
Just would have thought.
And then if someone had said, do they do this? And I would have been like, yeah.
Interesting.
Because I was so...
Interesting. So were there any outward signs of your mom's drug addiction that a school administrator or somebody would have seen?
But the issue with that is that we were in a small town. The population of the town we were in was 1,200.
I'm glad you keep bringing that up, because we keep forgetting.
It was very rural. It's not like this. Like this. The nearest drive-through from my house was an hour. Yeah, the nearest Walmart was an hour.
I keep forgetting that. It
was across the Mississippi River.
Rural pockets of America that just don't have services.
And if we could expand types of services to all schools, so that there are programs where it's like abuse prevention, signs of abuse to look for, not only for adults, but also for kids. Kids can look out for each other. And if they had classes of like what to look out for in your classmates starting at a younger age, it would probably help that prevention. Peer
support groups. I'm a huge advocate of peer support groups, and I don't know why they're not practiced more.
They should be.
Everywhere. If there's one thing that I would love to start and would be my legacy, it would be creating peer support groups.
Yeah, that, and then parents getting more education on what is okay and what is not okay for a little human to go through.
I'm sure your mom must have known what she was doing was not okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so there was no education. It was just her addiction.
Yes, but I don't know her history. I don't know what childhood she had or what she grew up thinking was normal.
But didn't you live with your grandparents? Were they her?
They were my stepdad's parents.
Okay.
They were all adopted family that were incredible. Okay. No one related to me saved me.
So you didn't know your mom's, or did you know your mom's parents? Not really. So you told me that you've spoken to your mom just a handful of times. Mm-hmm. In how many years? 20 years?
Yeah. I left when I was 13 and 30. Oh my gosh.
Almost 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. So maybe 5 times in 20 years. She's never talked to my son.
So what did those conversations look like?
Well, when I was younger, we would go back to...
Did you ever ask her?
Ask her about the stuff? Well, I mean, I kind of got into it one time with her because it was pretty general. Like, I just tried to keep a relationship with her. I'd let her know when I was coming to town and stuff like that. And then I took my ex-husband to meet her. And when I got there, she had powder on her nose. So I stopped going to see her after that. And she reached out to me a few years ago because she needed money. She was trying to get me to send her money because her dog was hungry and she needed dog food, is what she was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the most recent I've heard from her.
Wow. So she's pretty much just...
Oh, yeah.
Let you go.
She's gone.
She's gone.
I'll find out one day that she's overdosed or that she's passed.
How do you reconcile that? Not having a relationship with your biological mother?
It's not something that I've ever found necessary. My mama, she was an angel.
Okay. And did you have a stepmom with your stepdad?
Yes. We didn't have a good relationship when I was a teenager. Now that I'm an adult and she's an adultier, because she wasn't very adulty at the time, we get along really great now. But we did not have a good relationship then. So I never really had, besides my stepmom in Texas. So my dad got remarried in Texas. and had 2 more daughters, my 2 half-sisters over there. They're all my best friends. My stepmom over there has always been an angel, but she also was one of the ones that had no idea what was going on, couldn't see it. And I only visited them in Texas like once a year. She always gets so frustrated too.
And they
when I
never
would go
threw you
there.
a birthday party?
My birthday's in May. It was never around.
Oh, man.
I know.
All right. Tell me about, for those of you listening, you can't see, but Chastity has a few tattoos on her arms. Tell me about the I love you
That was
tattoo.
Liam's first I love you he ever wrote me. He wrote it on a little Post-it note, and I wanted to keep it forever.
Oh,
So I
love
let him
that.
stick it on me, and that's where I got it.
Oh, that's beautiful. All
Thank
right. Tell me
you.
about some of these other ones.
This is actually
Sunflower?
Yes, a sunflower. My sister has this one as well. When I was in middle school with the anxiety, I also had a lot of self-harm problems.
Okay.
So I have a few scars like here and there.
So you did the cutting.
So yes. So
Okay.
it was kind of a way to kind of cover some of that area. My sister did it with me.
That would have been a red flag, I would have thought teachers would have seen. Did you wear
I wore long sleeves. I was
sleeves?
always in the library. I wasn't social.
And so I've known other people that have done that. So were you just trying to feel?
Yes.
Is that what that's
what
about?
it was for me was the emotional internal pain was very, very hard for me, but physical pain I was used to. So whenever an emotional wound would come up, if I gave myself a physical, I could feel it, touch it, and watch it heal. So it was transformative for me in a way, but not
a healthy way.
Not a healthy thing to do.
Not a healthy way. So did you at one point just stop doing that?
Parts of me though, like because of the trauma, if I experience like a really big low or like something like that, parts of me immediately are like, punish yourself, because that was the norm. That was such a big norm and such a huge part of my life for half of my life.
Wow. And now you're helping other kids. So I'm sure that's going to be help you with your healing.
Oh
right,
my gosh.
Going on.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you feel it's important to say before we close?
No, just if you see something, say something and be a good human. That's all you need to do.
Be brave. Well, you've been very brave. Chastity, thank you for your honesty, your strength, and for trusting us with your story. Conversations like this are not easy, but they are important. They remind us that behind statistics are real people, real lives, and real opportunities for us to show up differently. If you're listening today, I hope this episode encourages you to be more aware, more present, and more willing to have conversations that matter, even when they're uncomfortable. And if you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to local resources like Manatee Children's Services or trusted organizations in your community. We'll have links in our show notes for that. And as always, thank you for hanging with me. Thanks, Chastity.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.